This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Cabo Jim Schaller.
Welcome, good neighbors, to the Good Neighbor Podcast, episode number 217. Today we have good neighbor Rechy Baltazar from Baltazar Speaking and Coaching. So he could be a professional at this. I don't know. He might know what he's doing, but pleasure to get to know you and excited to learn more about what you do.
How's it going, Cabo?
It is awesome. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I know you do this on a regular basis, so thank you for being on the show. But let's start off for our listeners who don't know much about you and share a little bit about what you do.
Well, my name is Rechy Baltazar, and I am the owner of Baltazar Speaking and Coaching LLC, a coaching business that is designed to help young adults and individuals transform their lifestyles through motivational speaking and meaningful coaching. My vision is to inspire and equip as many people here on earth, Cabo, to live empowered lives. My target audience is young adults navigating their way through life and facing personal growth challenges such as limiting beliefs, lack of clarity, and purpose, and so on. So basically, people who are rebuilding their lives back up, finding purpose and meaning. That's a little bit about what I do.
That is awesome. I mean, and that's much needed in society nowadays. So appreciate you doing that. So let's back up your story a little bit. How did you get involved in all this?
Well, as a teenager, I grew up with both of my parents in my life. My mom, Mallory Thermidor, and my dad, Samu Baltazar, were both in my life. I was fortunate enough to have both my parents in my life who loved me and cared for me during my upbringing, unlike some other people who don't have their mom and dads in their lives. So I really grew up into this by my pain in my past. As a young adult, I was really getting into trouble with law enforcement. I was getting in trouble in the streets, and I was just being influenced by the wrong group of people, Cabo. You know that it was been, yep, go ahead.
No, that's easy to do.
Yep.
So go ahead.
It is. And you know how Jim Rohn, who once mentioned that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Isn't that powerful, Cabo?
That is. So make sure you hang around with the right people, right?
Yep. So I was hanging around criminals, so I became one. I was hanging around people who did drugs, so I started doing drugs too. I was hanging around people who didn't know that they were the light of the world, so I started living a dark life, and eventually I became heavily depressed at one point in my life. I was contemplating suicide, and I got admitted into a mental health facility here in Fort Myers called Sailor's Care. I don't know if you ever heard about it, Cabo.
I haven't. No.
Yeah, it's right here in Fort Myers, and I was admitted there for a week because I was contemplating suicide. And to those who are listening to this podcast, I just want to ask you a question. Can you recall a time when you felt so disconnected from yourself and the world around you that you didn't know how to keep going or if it was even worth it? You see, that's how I felt in that period of my life, Cabo. After being released from the mental health facility, I got out and I kept doing crime to the point the judge got tired of seeing my face, and they transferred me into a small city called Avon Park here in Florida. And that's where I was admitted into a juvenile program for nearly a year called Hiding Youth Academy. And after serving there, I got out and I made the decision to change my life and make impact. So that's what really led me to do the business. That's what really led me to start speaking, to start going to different organizations, different places here to really make my impact known.
And, my next question would be about overcoming challenges, but that's quite a bit to overcome and change your life and get it on the right track. So is there something that we could maybe share with our listeners on that maybe they're feeling the same way? What's the process for them to get back on the right track?
Yeah, I mean, juvenile delinquency was just a chapter in my story, not the ending. It was just a chapter. And we all have chapters in our lives that we can actually understand that it was for our benefit in the long run. You know what I'm saying? Like certain things that happened to me, it can really happen to anybody. You know what I'm saying? And what really led me out of it was recognizing that, hey, you know what, Rechy, it was just a chapter, but it was not the ending.
Absolutely. So can we talk maybe about maybe some of the myths or misconceptions that people, I want to say get by viewing people that may be having hard times and judging them a little bit, not understanding their full story?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like not understanding someone's full story. Like a close friend of mine just called me today, Cabo, and their dad just passed away, and I just got done motivating her. Like we all are going to need motivation, and I believe that the question is really about okay, how can we motivate? How can I inspire? How can I empower someone to do what they really want to do and become the best versions of themselves? Like it's really about motivation. That's really the key. And I believe that's the apex of everything. It's just motivating.
Absolutely. And a lot of people need that guidance today because, like you said, you mentioned earlier, maybe they haven't grown up with the right set of parents, or any
Exactly.
parents or anybody around. Maybe they've been in a wrong situation, have the wrong group of friends. There's a number of reasons people get off on the wrong path, and before they know it, you're down and then down in a hole, and now you've got to figure out a way out or continue on that slide down.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so do you see certain things trending with society today, in a good way or a bad way?
Oh yeah, like I see a lot of people are really in need of motivation. Like whether you like it or not, you're going to need motivation. You're going to need me one day to motivate you. And it may not be me, it may be someone else, but you're going to need certain gurus, you're going to need certain people to actually pour into you and help you out when times get tough. For example, like I said, how a friend of mine just called me today. It was like, hey, Richie, just pray for me because my dad literally just passed away. So the trend that I'm seeing now is that people are actually looking to be motivated. People are actually looking to be poured into, and people actually need someone to hold their hand. So the coaching industry is a really amazing industry that is really trending nowadays to actually leave an impact here on this earth. And that's what I believe is trending right now in our society.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love that you're doing that because, like you said, you don't have to be somebody who's gotten into the wrong side of things or into crime or drugs or whatever. You could be a professional and maybe you need some motivation that, maybe your life isn't going the way you want it. You still need that direction and somebody behind you to kind of push you and keep you on the right track as far as what you're focused on in your goal, right?
Yep, yep. And people are going to need a coach, but not just any coach. Like some people just label themselves as a coach, but now I'm actually really doing this. I'm actually taking courses that are ICF accredited courses. I'm actually meeting different people. I'm actually tapping into different stuff to enhance my capabilities, to enhance my skill set, to actually be the best version of me and to serve you listening to me right now. So I'm going to conferences. I'm going to different networking events. I'm learning daily and I'm improving my craft. So not just a coach, but you actually need a coach that actually has something to bring to the table and has the necessary skill sets to be actually lead to coach you.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right about that as well too. Because if you're not learning, what do they say? You're not learning, you're not growing.
Yeah.
And that goes into for anybody, and especially you. If you're gonna coach people, you got to continue to stay on top of things and learn things. And it's great that you're taking that to heart as well. So, on a personal level, are you from Southwest Florida originally?
So I'm not from Southwest Florida, but I am from Connecticut, and I am from a small little city called Norwich in Connecticut. And my mom Mallory, she moved me over here when I was give or take about like 3 4. I may be wrong, but she moved me here in Southwest Florida at a young age that I can't recall, but I
Right.
was really born in Connecticut.
Okay. All right. And now you've been down here for a number of years, and
Number of
obviously,
years.
obviously, we love it down here. Um, when you do get a moment of free time, what do you enjoy doing outside of work?
Well, I really like spending time with myself and connecting with my higher power, figuring out what I can do next to be the best version of myself. It's all about learning daily. It's all about pouring into yourself so that you can pour into others. I believe that the best thing that someone can do for fun is invest in themselves. And that's what I do for fun. I love going to conferences. I love going to networking events. I love meeting new people. I love learning. That's something that I really value, and I believe that others should value as well, because you cannot go wrong with learning, Cabo.
Right? Yeah, you need to be like a sponge where you just absorb and soak in everything. And again, that's how you grow, and that's how you become better. What's the old adage too? Sometimes you take your failures and you learn from them and you grow from them. Will you make that mistake again? Maybe, but each time you're going to learn, and next time you're going to avoid it. So, um, what is one thing that you wish our listeners knew about what you do that maybe they wouldn't be aware of?
Well, I wish that the listeners will know that I'm a startup business that is looking for different ways to make more impact in the community, specifically in Lee County. You know, being an entrepreneur, being someone that wants to make impact, being someone that wants to live on their own terms and not allow society dictate the terms that they want to live in is really difficult. And it was Albert Einstein who said that in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. One of the hardest challenges in life that I rose up against was making the decision to pursue my dreams and my goals. Despite the internal and the external obstacles, the internal obstacles are the self-doubt questions that creep up on you. Like, can I do this? Am I qualified? Do I have what it takes to build something from scratch? And there's the external obstacles, societal pressures, which can stop you from awakening the real you and taking action to live your dreams and your goals. So that's one thing that I wish that the listeners can really evaluate with my business, is that, hey, you know what? I'm a startup. I'm a startup that's looking to make impact. I'm a startup that is looking to expand my reach to as many people so that I can empower them to change their lifestyles and to change their lives.
And I applaud you for that, because there's not many people that would, there's not a lot of people in this world today that would teach other people or take the time to teach other people. They just want to do everything themselves and think about themselves. You're thinking about others, and I thank you for that. So how would our listeners go about contacting you if they wanted to learn a little bit more or needed some help?
Absolutely. You can contact me and follow me on social media at Coach Rechy. Rechy is Rechy. To book me to speak at your next event, just go to my website, Rechy, Rechy, Baltazard, Baltazard. Yeah, I know I got a long last name. .com. Okay.
There you go.
.com. And I also have an ebook called Awaken the Real You that is currently in the market now. If you go on my social medias, just click on the links that you see. And that's all of my information, Cabo.
Hey, Rechy, any last words for our listeners?
Yes, live your dreams. It was Napoleon Hill who once said that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. You listening to me right now, you have a dream and you have something special in you that the world is waiting for. So you need to go out there and express yourself. Live out your dreams. It doesn't matter what your past looks like. It doesn't matter what society tells you. You can still make a difference, and you can change your lifestyle and ultimately change your life. That's my time, Cabo, and I appreciate you, man.
Hey, Rechy, it's been a pleasure getting to know you. Thank you for being such a good neighbor, and I hope to catch up with you soon out in the community.
Let's go!
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Estero. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpestero.com. That's gnpestero.com. Or call 239-296-2621.